The debate over the necessity of U.S. military intervention in Iraq strained relations between the U.S. and some of its allies in the months before the U.S. invasion. But in his final speech to the United Nations General Assembly Tuesday, President George Bush called on all nations to take what he called an unequivocal stand against terrorism.
In the decades ahead, the United Nations and other multilateral organizations must continually confront terror. This mission requires clarity of vision. We must see the terrorists for what they are: ruthless extremists who exploit the desperate, subvert the tenets of a great religion, and seek to impose their will on as many people as possible.
Earlier at the UN, President Bush spoke with Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari. Mr. Bush spoke of Saturday's terrorist attack on a hotel in Islamabad, which left at least 60 dead. He expressed his condolences to the families of the victims. President Zardari said his country would rise to the occasion.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your thoughts.
And we should stand united in helping Iraq's democracy succeed.
At the Security Council, Mr. Bush said the UN has an obligation to challenge what he calls the conditions of tyranny and despair that allow terrorism to thrive. He said the UN must advance a universal vision of freedom of speech and encourage efforts to establish democratic regimes.
For all the suggestions to the contrary, the truth is that whenever or wherever people are given the choice, they choose freedom.
The U.S. president reiterated his calls to support what he called the emerging democratic governments in Iraq and Afghanistan. He thanked the UN for its efforts in Afghanistan, where he said the Taliban must never be allowed to return to power. Mr. Bush called preparations for Iraq's next round of free elections a sign that the country is heading toward freedom.
Whatever disagreements our nations have had on Iraq, we should all welcome this progress towards stability and peace.
Standing just blocks from Wall Street, the center of the U.S. financial crisis, Mr. Bush sought to reassure world leaders. He faced skepticism of the U.S. push for free enterprise. The Secretary General had spoken of the uncritical faith in the magic of markets. Mr. Bush told the General Assembly his administration has taken bold steps to prevent a collapse that would have a devastating effect on other nations. Robert Raffaele, VOA News.